Good morning, everyone. Today, we need to confront a monumental shift that is already reshaping our world: the impending end of the internal combustion engine. This isn't just a technical upgrade, it's a profound, politically driven transformation with far reaching consequences, particularly for the European automotive industry. The European Union has made a definitive decision, and its ripple effects are already being felt across every facet of our economy and society. We are not merely observing a trend, we are living through a mandated revolution, one that demands our critical attention and understanding. This isn't a gentle evolution, it's a forced march into an uncertain future, and we must question if we are truly prepared for the journey ahead. The EU's ambition is clear: a 55% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030, leading to complete climate neutrality by 2050. The cornerstone of this strategy is a ban on new registrations for internal combustion engine vehicles from 2035. This means that in just over a decade, the cars we know today will no longer be sold new. While the goals sound noble, the practicality and potential fallout are often overlooked. This isn't just about cleaner air, it's about a radical overhaul of an entire industrial ecosystem driven by deadlines that seem incredibly aggressive. We must ask ourselves if these targets are truly achievable without significant economic and social disruption, or if they are simply aspirational benchmarks that will leave a trail of unintended consequences. The EU's strategy hinges almost entirely on battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, as the primary solution for decarbonizing road transport. This singular focus, while seemingly straightforward, presents a critical vulnerability. By placing all our eggs in one technological basket, we risk overlooking other viable pathways and creating new dependencies. The assumption is that BEVs alone can deliver the necessary emissions reductions, but this narrow perspective ignores the complexities of energy production, raw material sourcing, and infrastructure development. Is this truly a comprehensive strategy, or a convenient simplification that could lead to unforeseen bottlenecks and stifle innovation in alternative, perhaps more sustainable solutions? This mandated shift from internal combustion engines to electric drives is forcing an unprecedented industry transformation. Automakers are facing massive investments, pouring billions into electric vehicle development, often at the expense of traditional product lines. For countless suppliers, particularly those specializing in combustion engine components, this represents an existential threat. Their entire business model is being rendered obsolete, putting thousands of jobs and decades of expertise at risk. The industry is scrambling to develop new competencies in battery technology, power electronics, and software integration. This isn't just an upgrade, it's a complete reinvention, and the speed required is pushing many to the brink. We must question if this rapid, top down transformation is sustainable or if it will leave a trail of industrial casualties. The implications for the labor market are stark and concerning. Electric vehicle production, by its very nature, requires significantly less labor than manufacturing traditional combustion engines. This means fewer assembly efforts and, inevitably, fewer employees. Companies specializing in combustion technology, the backbone of the automotive industry for generations, face immense challenges, putting thousands of traditional jobs at risk. This isn't just about retraining, it's about a fundamental shift in required skills. Employees need to acquire entirely new expertise in electrical engineering, battery technology, and digital systems. The scale of this reskilling challenge is enormous, and without adequate support, we face widespread unemployment and social unrest in regions heavily reliant on the automotive sector. While aiming for energy independence, this transition is ironically creating new critical dependencies. The shift to electric vehicles relies heavily on raw materials like lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earths. A vast proportion of these materials are mined or processed outside Europe, creating significant strategic risks. China, for instance, already controls substantial parts of these global supply chains. This means that as we reduce our reliance on fossil fuels, we are potentially trading one geopolitical vulnerability for another. Are we truly securing our future or simply shifting our reliance to different, equally volatile global actors? This new dependency demands a critical examination of our supply chain resilience and geopolitical strategy. The global race for dominance in battery production and e-mobility is intensifying, and Europe is struggling to keep pace. China, with manufacturers like BYD and KTL, already sets global standards, demonstrating a formidable lead. The USA is aggressively investing through initiatives like the Inflation Reduction Act to bolster its own competitive position. Europe, meanwhile, faces the daunting task of catching up. Without significant, coordinated investments, we risk losing our technological edge and becoming increasingly dependent on imports. This isn't just about market share, it's about industrial sovereignty. Can Europe truly compete on this global stage, or are we destined to become a consumer of technologies developed elsewhere? The ambitious push for electromobility faces significant hurdles in terms of infrastructure and energy supply. The widespread availability of charging stations, particularly fast charging options, remains a critical bottleneck. More importantly, the sheer increase in electricity demand from millions of electric vehicles will place immense pressure on our existing energy grids. This transition demands not just more electricity, but also a rapid expansion of renewable energy sources to truly achieve the promised decarbonization. Without a robust, smart grid and a massive increase in green energy production, we risk simply shifting emissions from tailpipes to power plants, or worse, facing widespread energy shortages. The current pace of infrastructure development seems woefully inadequate for the scale of the challenge. It's crucial to acknowledge the critical voices challenging the EU's singular strategy. Many argue there's a distinct lack of technology openness, with an almost exclusive focus on battery electric vehicles. This neglects alternative solutions like e-fuels or hydrogen, which could be vital for heavy-duty vehicles and offer a more socially acceptable transition. Furthermore, the potential for massive social disruptions in regions heavily dependent on traditional automotive production, such as Germany, France, and parts of Italy, is a serious concern. The structural change required will demand significant time and support. Finally, the financial burden is undeniable. Electric vehicles remain significantly more expensive, making mobility difficult for lower income households and potentially exacerbating social inequality. Despite all these ambitious plans and disruptive policies, the sobering reality is that global climate targets remain far from reach. We are currently on a path to miss critical benchmarks, with a 66% probability of exceeding the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit by 2027. Global emissions continue at alarming rates, reaching 53 gigatons annually. The uncomfortable truth is that many major emitters have not adequately met their climate commitments, hindering collective global efforts. While the EU's actions are significant, they are part of a much larger, often failing global picture. We must critically assess whether these localized, albeit drastic measures are truly sufficient to avert a global crisis, or if they merely shift the burden without addressing the root causes on a global scale. In conclusion, the EU's decision to phase out internal combustion engines is undoubtedly an ambitious step towards climate goals, but it comes with a formidable array of challenges for the European automotive industry and society at large. Rapid adaptation is not just desired, but absolutely required for the industry to remain competitive. This transformation demands massive investments and a complete overhaul of business models. Crucially, social mitigation measures are necessary to alleviate the economic and social consequences, particularly for workers and communities reliant on traditional automotive manufacturing. Finally, the success of this entire endeavor hinges on the framework conditions set by the EU, including infrastructure investments and research funding. Whether climate neutrality will truly be achieved depends not just on political will, but on unprecedented industrial innovation and, perhaps most critically, genuine societal acceptance.